Hello, Dr. Ro. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Fantastic. It's so nice to be here with you.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. I truly appreciate you. And Dr. Ro, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Dr. Ro, for investing in yourself. You are on this platform right now because you did invest that in yourself. And oftentimes, Dr. Ro, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. Some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Dr. Ro, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it and the leaves are all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But Dr. O, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Doctor. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so excited. There is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Dr. O that you are today. That alone has made it impossible for me to skip here. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your journey, your work, the impact your work is having. And now you are offering your solutions, Dr. O. This stuff's so beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Dr. O is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to look selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Dr. Ro. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope,
Yeah.
there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, Dr. Ro.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's so nice to be here. Really, it's a pleasure.
Beautiful.
Thank you
Thank
for that.
you too. Yeah. So let's get started. I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Dr. Ro, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Dr. Ron, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And Doctor, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason I'm excited to have the incredible Dr. Rowe on the show is for the sake of the audience. They say, Dr. Rowe, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So those folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Doctor, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Dr. Ro, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about
Okay.
your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how
All right.
Dr. Ro got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Dr. Ro, over to you.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Um, Yeah, I really align with your philosophy and your way of thinking. I've always been very driven to learn more. I've always felt privileged to um, have that pursuit of knowledge and really, whether that was just library books or through education. And I just think that that's a wonderful foundation for everyone to sort of start, because I think that we have been blessed with a path and gifts to share. And when we can, have part of our journey be immersing ourselves in knowledge of the world and how everything has been created around us, that we can be on that path to find our purpose. And that was really mine. I got into philosophy and I was in speech and debate in high school, and I really just loved learning. I loved understanding, communicating, and sharing, hearing other viewpoints. And that was really kind of a foundation that carried through. And I ended up studying English in college with a minor in public relations, because what are you going to do with an English degree? So I kind of had to have some aspect there, what I might be able to market that into a job later. And then I kind of pursued that for a while. And I think that's where a lot of us are. We find a path and we go down it. And it was through that I really, a number of years in, started to realize it wasn't serving me, and I wasn't serving the world in the way I was meant to. But the piece that I enjoyed was understanding people and communicating with people and sharing ideas. And that's what led me to, also with my own pursuit of kind of making sense of the world, um, spiritually, and from that heart centered aspect of what am I here to do, that led me to the field of psychology, and really what is it that makes us tick? What is it that, um, that how is it that we can get that humanistic aspect? Like, what is the sort of purpose of life and the life arc, and the sort of, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, really kind of looking at life that way, life happening and unfolding for us, and not just, things happening to us. And it was that path where I got out of corporate. I had worked in corporate and nonprofit uh, sectors as well, but I got out of that and really, as you said, invested in myself. I worked I was still working in corporate. I did my master's in counseling psychology. And then I left corporate work altogether and invested in continuing my education to get a doctorate in clinical psychology. And it was really discovering that um, sometimes finding our path isn't necessarily about a specific interest. It's about how things make us feel. And it made me feel really good to be of service to others and to be there to hold space. And that's not something that we're taught. I suppose
Yeah.
you could probably find a few professions where maybe, but I was really blessed to find and a place to pursue the education of psychology that really incorporated spirituality and understood it to be a foundational aspect of being human. So I think that there really is a couple of roads in the field of psychology, and some can be, the primary conventional one is very clinical, but if we're talking about what it is to be human and understanding the human condition, then we really need to also show up with heart. And so that was really, the blessing that I had found the path that I did, and learn how to hold space for that human process. And of course, by all of the tools that were in many avenues and through a lot of research were shown to be effective, but also just to show up in a way that was therapeutic and healing. And along the way, I found mindfulness, and using mindfulness, of course, it's an ancient tradition for all the many religions of the world, have aspects of being present and mindful and using that as a way of really a way of walking and being in the world. And that really shaped how I do my work, is to bringing in that aspect of mindfulness. And that brought me to, this time of my career. I was blessed to marry and have a beautiful daughter. And that has been a big
Mm,
part of my focus. And now as I'm hitting midlife and having the experiences I'm having, I'm coming back to really bring new tools that I've been training in and certifying in over the last decade, new tools to use that are, I would say some of the most advanced, which is very exciting. So we don't have to suffer with old patterns, old beliefs. We can use these tools, shift out of the discomfort, and really learn to create, uh, a beautiful new chapter. So as I get into midlife, it's again wanting to go back to that thing that really guides me as to how I can show up and serve others, and create a container for transformation for others in that stage as well.
Amazing. Transformation for others at that stage as well. That statement alone has revealed so much about who you are. You know, Wanting to help people genuinely, not just to extort them, but to really create an avenue where they are impacted. I love that. And so you use some words, midlife and patterns. So I wanted to ask, why do old emotional patterns resurface in midlife? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I think one of the primary things, and we could certainly look at you know conventional developmental stages and understand things that happen throughout them, and maybe where there are places that are resolved, and we could say, well, that's probably why some of these things are coming back around. That it's just a developmental stage. But I think there's also a more a holistic way to look at it. And it's that, going back to what you were talking about in your introduction as well, that we have lived life, we've gained knowledge and wisdom, and we've pulled our parts of ourself over time out of that darkness into the light. And there's more of us in that light as we age because of our lived experience. And we often look at it as a negative because we can start to list all the bad things maybe that happened and the struggles we've had, but all of those things have actually brought us closer to truly who we are. And I think as we get into mid age or midlife rather, um, we're not willing to settle to wear masks that don't serve us anymore. And as that happens, because of the awareness, because of the wisdom that we built over the years, we have those things come up, and they're coming up for us to have that completion cycle. And some of it might be around boundaries, some of it might be around fears. There's all different kinds of things, and they're really based on old memories and old experiences. And so they come up and they are an invitation. I really feel it's like a sacred invitation because we want to go into that next chapter of our life without the weight of those many concerns, issues, or limitations, really, that might be driving the choices that we're making in life. Well, I think it's creating an opportunity and an opening. And
Mm,
like I said, I really like to look at it
opportunity.
as an invitation. Um, we get to choose. We can choose to continue to work or even view our life as a series of problems and solutions. I like to call that problem solution orientation. And we can choose that. And it's often been the extent of what we've been able to do in managing our lives, especially when we're managing children or managing elder parents or just managing life in general and health issues and whatever might be coming our way. That's an approach. We can stay in that. Unfortunately, when we're in that problem solution orientation, there's always going to be another problem because that is the mindset. So if I solve one thing and I'm getting sort of my purpose and my whole way of being in life from solving problems, another one's going to arise. So, but when we shift, and this is what, midlife is serving us up these things. It's like, are we going to keep going like whack-a-mole and just have to go from problem to problem? Or are we going to transcend that mindset and kind of step into creatorship? And I think a huge piece of this is understanding that we're not broken, that we are whole, and that when we can be in our creatorship and gather the resources around us and the guidance that we all have, that we all may have different names for or different ways of seeing. But when we can be in that place of bringing our essence to connection with our guidance and be in our creatorship, then things that just seemed like constant problems can shift. And, being able to bring in the tools that we have today where we can actually remove the emotional intensity around memories, so that they don't sort of create those limitations. It's a powerful combination. So it's a beautiful time to be alive, to be able to be in this stage of life and choose to, move our consciousness to a place of, I'm going to transcend this problem solution situation. I'm going to step into creatorship. I'm going to honor who I am and my values and be in the world in the way that I was meant to be, and know that in doing so, so many people, all the people around you and the people you interact with, they're all served by that because you're bringing more light, as you talked about before. You're bringing the light of you into those situations. And I think that's what midlife is an invitation to do.
So we have two more to go, okay? So there's this one I'm so curious about. So what is the superconscious and how does it speed up healing?
Yeah. Yeah. So the superconscious, it's interesting. Let me back up for just a second to set the stage for that. The work that I do is called the MAP method, and it was a method created by Colette Stryker in conjunction with a psychologist from Canada named Gary Flint. And she worked with him to create this particular approach. And his work was, a beautiful contribution to the field that has been largely, not lauded as much as it should be. And he found it was interesting. He was an experimental psychologist versus a clinical psychologist. And the reason that's interesting is that he really just was a true researcher and an observer, which is a beautiful skill, especially when we want to build knowledge in the world, right? Is to just notice. He had that skill and he hadn't had the boxes placed in his brain for this thing, this is this thing. So he didn't have that clinical background. And he was able to meet people who had really severe trauma and severe, mental disorders. He was able to meet them where they are. And in doing so, he did this very deep, rich work. And he found that there was an ally present. There was a place in the consciousness of these individuals that was like the blue sky and sun above all of the storms. And that's what ultimately ended up being called the superconscious. It was this place above all of the trauma and all of the consolidated memories that cause a person to be the way they are in the world, that really actually truly knew how to heal. It knew exactly on the timeline where the traumas were, and it knew how to help bring in line new ways of thinking and how to release old. And it's kind of a fascinating discovery, but for those of us who understand that we have this intelligence within us, it's not that surprising, right? We know if we get a cut, our body knows how to heal it. We don't have to do anything. We might put a Band-Aid on it, but the body knows how to heal. And so it's really interesting to realize that people who have gone in without blinders on, like Dr. Flint, were able to actually witness that this exists in the brain as well. And so this level of superconscious, if we can access it and dialogue with it, with the tools that we developed, and I say we, I mean in the field, and then of course Colette developing the MAP method, if we can do that, we can shorten the time that it takes for people to have these shifts. In fact, I've had clients say, they felt like they did 3 or more years of therapy in a session or two. So it's very efficient. And the superconscious is really that part of us that is all, I will say all knowing. It's connected to what Jung called the collective unconscious concept, right? It's connected to that broader field of information that influences us, that we might pull our intuition from, and those deeper knowings. And that's a part of our being. And so that's the superconscious. It's a little bit surprising and mysterious, and yet not, because we do have that deeper intelligence running through us, because
Yeah,
that's how we were made.
yeah, that's right. We do have it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree. And the method, the map method, that sounds really beautiful and effective. So to bring this to an end, Dr. Rowe, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those who would like to reach out to you, join your programs, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
Sure. Yeah. I think the thing that I would leave everyone with is that, we don't have to suffer with past experiences that are weighing on us, that there are tools now that can help shift that emotional intensity. So if you find that any life experience weighs on you, it comes into your mind, you ruminate about it. It could be a recent one, it could be one from long ago. Or you could be noticing patterns that choices that you're making because of old experiences. We don't have to stay stuck in those patterns or have those blocks. It's actually a lot easier. It's not a 10-year therapy thing. It could literally be a lot of people have relief from some of these long-standing things in minutes. So to just have that knowledge that there's help and that it can be fast, efficient, and painless. We don't have to talk about all of the details of the trauma. I think that's an important piece because a lot of people they feel like they don't want to open Pandora's box. They don't want to deal with it because they don't want to talk about it. And interestingly, with the MAP method, you don't actually have to talk about it. Just referencing, oh, that thing that happened when I was in my teens or that thing that happened, it's enough to call into what we call the active experience, any of the dormant memories, and then the superconscious has access to those. So that's what I would want people to know. And that you just don't have to suffer and you don't have to feel like your life is limited by those experiences. And in terms of my work, if it resonates and they're interested, my website is drrochellevogt.com. And and if you do /gift, after that, people can download some support for 3 conscious breathing techniques that really help
Mm.
you get present and allow the nervous system to feel safe. And that's really one of the first steps is to just have that skill base. So there's another piece of knowledge that people can get for themselves and then experience and practice. And that also puts you on my mailing list. And I'm really excited to be growing the group aspect of that because I do think that the community part for this part of life and for this work is really powerful when we can step into creatorship and support one another that way. So I'd love to hear from people also if they have questions. And I'm also on Instagram at Dr. Rochelle Vogt as well. So I'd love to hear from people and hear what's happening in midlife and find out how to better serve.
So that's going to be the end of the show, bro. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.